Here's a question for you. How do you properly return the overwhelming kindness of another? Think about that for a second. Especially someone who's a stranger or an acquaintance. Now, I hear some of you come in with kindness doesn't need to be returned, it should be circulated. I'm all for that. You know, one of my favorite ideals, and an ideal is something we strive for, not something we've achieved. So, this is maybe despite my constant actions, but it's in my head, okay? And I've said it before, you know, I should augment the quotation. I'm going to augment the quotation. So the original one says, I do, and therefore. So I try to be kind to those who are kind. No, I'd say I am kind to those who are kind. I try to be kind to those who are unkind. And that's the work part. Therefore, there is an increase of kindness in the world. Now, that's all well and good, but there's a lot of shits out there. And as many of you know, I really enthusiastic about punishing the wicked and deserving of wrath. But anyway, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about kindness. And of course, you know, the conclusion I've come to is pay it forward, you know, which is that whole kindness loop. But let me tell you what happened. I can't give you specifics. I might get the person in trouble. But let's say I rent something somewhere for periods of time. And I rent this item often. And there's a grace period where you have to let it set at the institution from which it is rented, so that someone else has a chance to rent it for 2 hours. I'm all in favor of that. Well, and if you return it late, the fine on each item, because there's the item itself and then a power pack, is $100 each for each day. And recently, I looked at my email. I swore the return date was Friday, but it was Thursday. So when I returned it Friday, I had a $200 charge. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And the guy's like, well, you know, it's okay. I can help you out. Have you ever had a late fee before? And I said no, thinking in the back of my head that, well, there was that one time when I had someone bring it back for me. I don't remember what happened, but they waived the fees because it was on my record. But I said no because I thought they said they weren't going to charge the fees. So it's charged when you return it. So I accidentally lied to the guy, and he says that's okay. And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry about that. I was confused. I wasn't sure if it was if I was fined or not, or if they just didn't charge him. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, you know, I could have sworn it was Friday. And I started to walk away, and he's like, no, stay there. I'll help you. And he waived my fees. Now, you know, people that are irresponsible and late, that's why those fees are there. But anyway, I told the guy, I'm like, thank you so much. He's like, it's okay. Very low-key fellow. It's okay. And I told him, I was like, well, you know, you're very merciful. So the point is, he altered the next couple of months of my life. Because that $200, you know, is a lot. And I don't have the power. He could have just said, yep, sorry, no problem. Did he abuse his power? I don't think so. But, you know, I was the recipient of his mercy. So let's think about that. On a lighter note, I saw these things at Home Depot, and I have tons of these. I've got like 10 or 15 of them out in the barn with pencils and art supplies in them. And, you know, I always see them and I'm like, oh, well, I've got plenty of those. But the fact that at Home Depot they called it a shoebox. They said shoebox, 99 cents. I was like, oh shoot, I've got my Foundry shoes that I wear that are all covered in plaster and stuff. And I always worry about them getting other things dirty, so I bought it. So isn't it weird how calling something one thing gives it a whole nother utility and desirability? So, think about that.